EA Sports finally gave us the update for Madden 23 that we've been waiting for. Now, this might very well be the last update of Madden 23. We could potentially get one small one in April, but more than likely, I do think this might be the last one for this year. We're about to head into Madden 24 season. There's going to be a lot of news and leaks about that coming any day now, so if you don't want to miss out on that info, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you don't miss out on any of those important videos. For this update here, one of the biggest things we're going to be looking at are the new X Factor and Superstar players. They finally updated them once again. We've been waiting a few months for this. They've also done some game updates and some other things as well. Today also kicks off the fourth and final season for Madden 23. It's the game changer season. This is mostly MUT related stuff, but we do have a new loading screen with John Madden, which is pretty cool. Now let's talk about those new X Factor players that everybody's been waiting for. Of course, we got to start with Jamar Chase. He was the most obvious one. We knew he'd be going up. It's kind of been a little late. He should have went up with the last update, honestly, but I guess better late than never. He's officially an X Factor player, and he has the double me X Factor, which is one of the better ones for wide receivers, meaning when he gets in the zone, you got to put two guys on him or he's pretty much guaranteed to make the catch. His other abilities are mid-in elite, mid-out elite, and run-off elite, which are also pretty good abilities. The other obvious guy that's moving up to X Factor is Josh Jacobs. Now, interestingly enough, he was not even a superstar player for some reason. He was a superstar a few years ago, but he hasn't been one, I think, for the last couple of Maddens. But this year he dominated. He led the league in rushing, so he's jumping up from having nothing at all the way to X Factor with this update, and he's got the Wrecking Ball X Factor, which is a pretty good one. It allows him to break tackles with trucks and stiff arms once he enters the zone, and he's also got some pretty decent regular abilities as well. He has Backfield Master, which is one of the best running back abilities. It's going to allow him to get extra hot routes, which is super crucial, and it's going to allow him better route running and catching with those routes as well. Then he's also got Backlash and Closer. The next guy moving up is very deserving, and that is Dexter Lawrence. He's been really solid over the last couple of years, but this year he took it to a whole nother level, and he became one of the best interior linemen in the league. He's got the Blitz X Factor, which is a pretty decent one. When he gets into the zone, all opposing blockers have their resistance bars wiped out. So the offensive line can build up resistance to your defensive line to certain pass rush moves throughout the game. When he gets in the zone, it wipes all of that out, meaning now everybody on your D line has a better chance to quickly shed a block and get to the QB. So this is actually a pretty good X Factor. The next guy moving up was an obvious one to me as well, and that is Patrick Surtain. He was a superstar. I believe he moved up to superstar with the last update, but he's been so good in his first 2 years, he needed to move up to X Factor. He is definitely one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now, and he has the shutdown X Factor. So when he gets in the zone, his coverage is going to be tighter, and he's going to have more interceptions on contested catches. So if he's near the receiver in the zone, you definitely don't want to throw at this guy. He's also got some other really good additional abilities. He has outside shade, which is going to help you with things like corner routes to the sideline. He's got short route KO, which is really powerful this year. Any short route versus his man-to-man coverage, he's likely going to knock the ball loose. And then he has tip drill, so when the ball is knocked up loose in the air, he has a really good chance of intercepting it. Now, Patrick Surtain is without a doubt one of the most powerful cornerbacks in Madden 23. Another guy moving up that's finally getting some love is Roquan Smith. He's going to have the Reinforcement X Factor, and what this does is when he gets into the zone, it increases his chance of defeating run blocks, tackling runners, and disrupting catches. So it kind of makes him a little bit better versus the run and the pass. He's also got some additional abilities. He's got Tackle Supreme, which is going to really help him wrap up the ball carriers, especially some of the big trucking guys. He's also got Flat Zone KO, which is really good. If he's in a flat zone and he's near you, he's going to knock the ball loose. And he also has Deflator, which means when he lays a hit stick on you, it's going to deflate you. It's going to take a lot of your stamina away. So Roquan Smith's got some pretty good, powerful abilities here. And the last X Factor, we have a guy that's moving back up, and that's Jair Alexander. Now, with the last update, he got removed from X Factor because I think he just kind of had a string of a couple down games. I didn't really think that they should have dropped him. I don't think he was playing that bad, but immediately after they dropped him, he turned it up and started playing as good as ever. So it was kind of a premature drop in my opinion. So now they're bumping him back up, and he's going to have the shutdown ability, which is going to give him tighter coverage, and interceptions are more frequent on the contested catches when he's in the zone. His His additional abilities are Outside Shade, which is very good, Acrobat, which is amazing, and Short Route KO, which is also really good. Again, on short routes, if he's in man coverage, he's gonna knock that ball loose. Now, we only got one new superstar player with this update, and it's none other than Sauce Gardner. We knew he would be going up. He was the defensive rookie of the year, one of the best defensive rookies we've seen in a long time. He's got some pretty good abilities with this superstar update. He's got Acrobat, which is one of the best abilities for defensive backs. It allows them to make crazy interceptions and crazy swats. They can kind of dive and get better animation. So even if a receiver looks open, if an Acrobat player is near them, there's a good chance they're going to get their hands on the ball. And he's also got Inside Shade, which is another really overpowered ability this year in Madden, especially with man defense being so much better this year than in years past. Inside Shade is going to really allow him to stop a lot of routes inside the numbers. Now, there were some snubs here that kind of surprised me. I thought maybe Garrett Wilson would bump up to superstar because he had a good rookie year, maybe a guy like Chris Olave as well. I'm also very surprised that Quentin Williams didn't move up at all. He had a dominant year. I mean, he was right there with Dexter Lawrence, in my opinion, of just having a very phenomenal year for an interior guy. And he didn't move up at all, which is kind of odd to me. He doesn't even have superstar. I'm not even saying they had to bump him all the way up to X Factor, but they could have definitely gave him superstar. That one is kind of head scratching for me. I also thought maybe Trevor Lawrence would jump up to superstar. I think he had a really solid second year, and he is a guy that is looked at as one of the future better QBs in the league, so I'm surprised he didn't jump up to superstar with an ability or two. Also surprised that Jalen Hurts didn't jump up to X Factor. I think he had about as good of a year as you could expect a quarterback to have when you consider rushing and throwing. I think he should have been bumped to X Factor. I also think guys like Christian Kirk should have maybe got a superstar nod as well. I mean, he had 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's pretty good. Now, with guys getting promoted, that also means we've got guys that got demoted as well. So there's a few names that got demoted from X Factor down to superstar. Those guys are Khalil Mack, Cam Jordan, Aaron Rodgers, Jonathan Taylor, Darius Leonard, and Chandler Jones. All guys that I predicted would get dropped because they either didn't have good years or they were injured for a lot of the year as well. Rodgers had a bit of a down year. Cam Jordan, Khalil Mack had down years. Jonathan Taylor definitely had a down year, and I think he dealt with some injuries. Darius Leonard dealt with a lot of injuries, and Chandler Jones definitely had a down year. Now, we also got some names that were demoted from superstar down to nothing. Those guys are Ryan Ramczyk, Rodney Hudson, Eric Kendricks, Joe Mixon, Russell Wilson, Miles Jack, and Xavier Howard. Some of these names I don't completely agree with. I think like Mixon could have stayed, Eric Kendricks could have probably stayed, maybe Xavier Howard, but those guys now have nothing. Now let's talk about the gameplay updates. We don't have a whole bunch of gameplay updates. We've got a few important ones. So the first gameplay update here is they fixed an issue where the user-controlled quarterback could not snap the ball after a specific ID the mic animation would trigger. This was definitely one of those bugs that's been around for a while. Not sure why it took them this long to clean it up, but it's no longer there. Here's another big one they fixed. Addressed an issue where RPO alert and RPO read plays out of certain formations would cause weak block logic to trigger, resulting in multiple pancake blocks occurring all over the field. This had been kind of a thing for the last couple months. I talked about it a few videos ago. I said they would probably be fixing this soon, and they did. The one area that this kind of was okay was it was a little something that could combat the dollar defense meta that has been so overpowered this year, but it also pancaked guys in a ton of other formations as well. It definitely was a glitch that needed to be fixed, but with dollar still being so powerful this year, it's just kind of unfortunate that they did not do a better job at balancing that meta. Season 4 also kicked off in Madden Ultimate Team, which I talked about briefly earlier. There's a bunch of new players, some new programs, a lot of new sets. They also updated the auction house and trade block logic restrictions for legend program items, and they also did some stability and general fixes there as well. In terms of franchise and face of the franchise, there is nothing in this update for that, which I kind of expected, other than maybe if there were some bugs that needed to be cleaned up, but they've been cleaning up bugs in those modes all year, so maybe most of them are taken care of now, but nothing new, nothing noteworthy at all. So I guess they're kind of just done with that for the year. And honestly, judging by this update, I think this might just be the last update of the year. There could be one in April. We did get one in April the last couple of years, but this year with all the problems they had, and now with it being reported that Madden 24 is a make or break game for them, it kind of feels like they're pretty much on to Madden 24 now, because typically in March and in February, we would have bigger updates than we got this year. The past few years, the February and March updates were much bigger than the ones we got this year. So it kind of sounds like to me this update was mainly about cleaning up a few other bugs that were in the game, doing the last X Factor and Superstar player refresh for the year. And it just seems like they're on to Madden 24 now, and we're probably not going to get an update next month. But if we do, of course, I'll let you guys know. In the meantime, if you want to know everything we know currently about Madden 24, make sure to check out this video right here on the screen.